Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Choirunnisa dari kelas 3A akan memaparkan materi yang telah saya rangkum dari jurnal yang berjudul Critical Thinking of Chemistry based on Nature of Science. Okay, firstly it's about content inside. These 4 points are about first, introduction is the most introduction of CT skill and NoS. Second, research method is the analysis about the instrument and reference. The third, result. It's the explanation of information answer based on NoS. And then the last, conclusion, part that catch all the importance of this content, or the last result. Okay, the third, introduction. In this entry, the teacher must study how the critical thinking skill working in this century. And nature of science describe how the science work, or how the scientists result, and how did they get it, or why they get it and why they did it. The nature of science have 5 components. The first, deductive, empirical, scientific theories and laws, imaginative, and science subjective. Also, critical thinking skill and nature of science is important for students, especially for the science. Why? Because with critical thinking skill and nature of science, they will understand that how chemistry works in the science, and they will understand that why is chemistry is part of science. And the research method, that mean how did we get the data. Okay, data research were obtained from the questionnaire and interview. As a research instrument, the validity of the research data was tested using by triangulation, where researchers compare the result of questionnaire and interviews with journals to obtain valid data. So after we get the answer from the questionnaire and from interview, we will check again and we will compare again to journal to obtain the valid data about the answer that we need. Based off critical thinking and nature of science, we get 3 class or 3 categories of student. Okay, the first is naive thinking, and then transitional thinking, and informed thinking. Okay, as a result, we get 3 category of students thinking skill based on critical thinking skill and nature of science. First, naive. The informant tried to answer according to the existing question, but the answer were not following the context of using scientists' idea of scientist creativity. The second, transitional. The informant have understood about aspect of scientific theory and law, being able to mention the difference between scientific theory and law, but the informant not able to explain to support their answer. That means that just like we know what the difference, but we don't know how to explain it, like that. The third is informed. In this case, students have understood aspect of scientific theory and law, providing answer following scientist explanation. Okay, and the third is informed. In this case, students have understood aspect of scientific theory and laws by providing answer following expert answer and could provide appropriate explanation and evidence. The conclusion we obtained from this study were that the CT skill possessed by pre-service teachers interpretation skill, inference skills, and self-regulation skills. Those skills were still in the low category. Then, understanding the nature of science informant could be categorized in the transitional categories. The finding in this study become the input for the department that some students were unable to analyze nature of science aspect in the chemistry context, especially through its stage of critical thinking skill. Jadi sekian presentasi yang bisa saya sampaikan mengenai resume dari jurnal yang telah saya baca. Kurang lebihnya mohon maaf. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.